Hello, my dear students. Do you notice something in this picture? Is there something strange you find? Well, I do see a shadow of a boy. Shadows have always amazed me. I have always been curious to know about shadows. When I was a child, I used to form shadows on a wall with the help of a candle when the lights used to go out. Have you ever made a shadow on a wall with the help of a candle? You must try, it's really fun. Today we are going to read a poem, My Shadow, by Robert Louis Stevenson. Robert Louis Stevenson was born on 13th November 1850. He was a Scottish novelist and a travel writer. He is best known as the author of the children's classic Treasure Island, and he has also written the novel Kidnapped. He has penned down many poems such as The Wind, The Swing, Bed in Summer, and My Shadow. My Shadow poem awesomely depicts the relationship between a child and his shadow. Within the poem, you can see how curious a child has become after seeing his own shadow. I have a little shadow that goes in and out with me, and what can be the use of him is more than I can see. He is very like me from the heels up to the head, and I see him jump before me when I jump into my bed. The funniest thing about him is the way he likes to grow. Not at all like proper children, which is always very slow. For he sometimes shoot up taller like an Indian rubber ball, and he sometimes gets so little that there is none of him at all. He hasn't got a notion of how children ought to play, and can only make a fool of me in every sort of way. He stays so close beside me, he is a coward you can see. I had think shame to stick to Nursey as that shadow sticks to me. One morning, very early, before the sun was up, I rose and found the shining dew on every buttercup. But my lazy little shadow, like an arrant sleepyhead, had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed. In the first stanza of this poem, the speaker begins by describing his shadow as his companion. It is something that accompanies him everywhere he goes. The speaker says his shadow is little and that it goes in and out with him. The speaker goes on to take note of the fact that the shadow is very much like him. Every part of the shadow is similar from the heels to the head. He speaks on the mirroring of his own motions when he describes the shadow as jumping onto the bed before he does. He sees the shadow as copying him rather than as a projection of his own body. In the second stanza, the speaker speaks on the strange aspect of the shadow the child takes note of. These includes its ability to grow. He is referring to how the shape changes with the positioning of the sun. It is obviously a very odd feature for a child to have make him an improper child. There is a contrast presented here between a real child and the way they grow and the growth of this strange child. The speaker compares the quick growth of the child to the bounce of an Indian rubber ball. It happens so fast that one can hardly follow it. In a similar way, the child shrinks until there is hardly anything left of him. In the third stanza, the speaker goes on to describe how this child does not understand how to play, a critical part of a childhood. This fact bothers the speaker as the shadow's action reflect badly on him. He is embarrassed by the shadow's behavior and its seemingly inability to leave his side. The strange child is always there, acting like a coward. In the fourth and the last stanza, The speaker describes one time in which the shadow did not appear. He is not able to connect the events of this section to the physical manifestation of his shadow. Rather, he presents the occasion as another quirk of the strange child who follows him around. He speaks of a time in which he got up before the sun. The child was awake so early he could see the shining dew on every leaf and every flower. This line lets a reader know the scene was a beautiful one, something the speaker feels the shadow should not have missed. Rather than accompanying him on this early morning journey, the shadow remains in bed like an errant sleepy head. The speaker thinks this was the wrong decision.